Sometimes the wheels of justice go off the tracks. It can be extremely difficult to overturn a conviction, even if the person is innocent. Tomorrow night on 48 Hours, correspondent Erin Moriarty looks at two cases. Each involves a man found guilty of a murder they say they didn't commit. Erin looks at the questionable convictions and the extraordinary effort to try and free the men.
Crystal Champagne was a 14-year-old loving, caring child that would help anybody. Just somebody I miss very much.
Don Champagne's 14-year-old daughter, Crystal, took a walk to a nearby store on a hot July day in 1996. She never returned.
It was the hardest night of my life.
One day later, the teenager's body was found, strangled, in a densely wooded area near the Mississippi River. The case appeared to be solved when just hours later, Damon Thibodeau, a distant cousin, confessed to the crime.
You don't just say that you murdered her, you say you raped her.
Mm-hmm. Until someone is in the position that I was put in, they will never understand why someone confesses to a crime they didn't commit.
Thibodeau recanted almost immediately, but when he went on trial, the jurors heard his incriminating words on the police interrogation tape.
When you left, how was she laying?
He was convicted and sentenced to death. But attorney Denny LeBeouf set out to prove that Damon's confession was false.
They had 84 pieces of physical evidence in this case, and not one went back to Damon Thibodeau.
With time running out, LeBeouf and Thibodeau's other lawyers took everything they had to the very office that put Thibodeau on death row, the district attorney.
But certainly there was enough presented to me, whereas I sat there, I'm thinking, I gotta look at this.
And 48 Hours went on its own search for new evidence and tracked down the man who said that it was intuition that led him to Crystal's body.
It haunts me every day that I found her body.
You had nothing to do with her death.
On my mother's soul, I never touched her.
Erin Moriarty, good morning.
Good morning.
So what impact on the investigation did Thibodeau's confession have?
Well, it derailed the investigation. It narrowed the investigation. Once he said he did it, and this was within hours of the murder, they didn't look at other suspects. And in fact, in our hour, we take a look at a suspect they should have looked at much closer. And then they had this problem when they finally actually looked at the crime scene and realized it didn't match his confession. Then they have to ignore all that evidence that points to someone else and try to find things that just look at Damon Thibodeau. The unusual hero in this was the DA, because normally this takes years to go through appeals, and the DA was willing to take a new look at this case.
The other story you have is Ryan Ferguson, who was here, by the way, on CBS this morning, spent 10 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, and his conviction was overturned. What's the update on him?
Well, this is interesting because, of course, we're taking a look at his life sentence, which has not been as easy as I thought it was, or would be. But remember, there were two individuals who were convicted of this murder, and one had confessed, and that's Charles Erickson. Well, there was no evidence that connects Ryan Ferguson. There's no evidence that connects Charles Erickson. But the problem is, soon as, again, we go back to that confession, it's very hard to overturn a case like that. And he waited, so he missed time for his appeals. It's going to be difficult for him to get out. But we interview him, and you really get a sense of why this false confession might have happened in this case.
When you interview these men, are they bitter? Are they angry? Are they devastated? What's their emotional state?
What always surprises me is that they're not bitter. And then the thing that really surprised me, when we first started on these cases, we don't know whether these individuals are innocent, that they haven't picked up any of the prison environment. They don't use the prison vernacular. They don't have a lot of tattoos. They seem to be separate, and that seems to give me an indication, I think a lot of reporters, that they are innocent.
Thanks, Erin.
Thank you.